When I Get Up in the Morning. From the album Middle School, 2021. Welcome back to Hybrid Theory. I'm Aurian Archive, and let's get started. Yesterday, I was running a stream talking about the SteelSeries Arctis 1, and for whatever reason, the stream crashed out. I really don't know. I don't know if it was a connection problem. And since I noted that the last half of the stream didn't actually go through, I got into, a full-blown rant. And it's a rant that some have heard or read before on the vague nature of marketing. In this case, the specific rant was on the high-res music. Now, I have a serious problem with how high-res music is described. And if you look up at the tabs on the top of this window, you can see one of those problems. FLAC, the Free Lossless Audio Codec, the first public released version, is recorded as FLAC 0.4 on 23rd December 2000. That's right. This year, FLAC will be old enough to drink in the United States. The idea of high-resolution audio isn't exactly a new phenomenon by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, I can look up Super CD and get rid of that. And we have Super Audio CD, SACD. And it was introduced in 1999, so basically the same time frame that FLAC was in development, and it was jointly developed by Sony and Philips, and it was supposed to succeed the compact disc. It didn't. Now, among the things that Super Audio CD brought was a higher bit rate than a standard CD. A standard CD is something like 44K at 16 bit. And even then, the Red Book, and that's known as the Red Book audio format, Red Book CD format, compact disc digital audio, and it is defined in the Red Book, one of a series of rainbow books that contain the technical specifications of all CD formats. So the Red Book format is how most audio CDs have been encoded. And for that reason, although many people say that CD audio was fine, CD audio was never an audiophile grade playback. It was not desired by people who really wanted the maximum amount of audio or the maximum audio fidelity, the largest amount of recorded frequencies, the best response. It's audio CDs, the Red Book format just wasn't really that good. It was good enough for most people, just not really that good. And even, again, we're talking over 20 years ago, even some of the biggest names in the CD industry, Sony and Philips, realized that the CD format, while acceptable, was not the best that could be done. In a lot of aspects, the Red Book CD audio format was defined by the technical limitations of the CDs themselves and the playback mechanisms, how cheap the lasers could be, how small the lasers could be made. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that CD audio for an audiophile has never been a top grade standard. It's never. And fair enough, I really did come out of the vinyl audio is the only way to go. You need a vacuum tube amplifier to get the most out of your music. You have to build your significant audio chain from one end to the other. And to reiterate from earlier streams, the vendor that changed my perception in regards to PC sound, that audiophile grade quality was possible. And let me rephrase that. The audiophile grade that audiophile grade engineering was possible in an affordable format. And keep in mind, back in 1999, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, the pinnacle of audio sound cards at the time was the Sound Blaster. What was it? Sound Blaster Live 5.1. And I've been over that before. How Sound Blaster, yes, if you had a Sound Blaster, it was significantly better than AC97, but Sound Blaster was still only generally pushing 16-bit 44K sample rates. And then you had VIA, which got into the mix with the VIA and Vitri Audio. And again, I went into that before on a previous live stream, that VIA was about 24-bit audio, 192 or better. And for VIA, I think like the lowest they ever went was like a 2496K sample rate. And for the most part, flashing forward, and going back to talking about the Arctis one, it becomes I don't know. I'm unsure how to say. It becomes problematic, if you will, in that gaming audio hasn't really progressed in 20 years. And you might go, well, what do you mean that gaming audio hasn't progressed? Well, again, the Arctis one is a recent release, as in within the last couple of years, designed for the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, uh, Android, and otherwise. And the Arctis one is still properties advanced. The maximum sampling rate it does is 16-bit 48K, which is listed as DVD quality. It's, I mean, 20 years ago, that was already recognized as that's not good enough. I mean, again, the big names, Sony and Philips, were saying, okay, you know what, CD audio quality is not good enough. We need a higher bit rate. We need a higher sample rate. And I guess I'm having problems now actually wrapping my head around why anybody would release an audio component for a desktop system or a gaming system that only does 16-bit 48K sampling. I'm really at a loss here. And for kind of comparison's sake, I broke out a USB hub, since we are on the laptop at the moment, and decided to look at some of the other items that are internally available. Well, here we go. Here's the Super Deck S. And the Super, uh, I'm also looking for, where did it go? There it is. Why are you not charged? Sorry, the Vava, there it goes. Alright, there's the Vava Voom hooked up. Okay, the properties, Vava Voom. Vava Voom is a Bluetooth device. So we're going to swap to it real quickly. Vava Voom Stereo, properties, advanced. And again, this is a Bluetooth device, a rather old one, because Vava has, as far as I know, not been in the audio speaker business for a long while. I'm not even sure if the company still exists that made the speaker I have. It is limited by Bluetooth wireless. So seeing 2-channel 16-bit 44K on a Bluetooth, I think 2.1 compatible device, I mean, that's, again, I've gone over this in previous streams. It's not really a big surprise that Bluetooth is extremely limited. All right, well, here we have the Super DAC, and we'll go here. And we'll see that the Super DAC will go all the way up to 24-bit, 192 hertz studio quality sampling rate. And, let's do a quick look for Zorlu Super DAC. And let's see. This is the Super DAC S. All right, buy now. And the okay, Super DAC S. Okay, the Super DAC S starts at $80. So $80, and this is a USB device that does 24-bit, 192K sampling rate. Well, okay. Let's look at something else then. Okay. Out of Okay, that one's being difficult. I'm not entirely sure why. Okay. And give it a second to register. Did it register? The perils of doing things live. Okay, no, I think it needs to charge up a little bit more. Sort of like it is on an active charger, right? Yeah, it's on an active charger. Okay. Let's try the next one. Power on. All right, we got a device recognized. All right, there's our NX4. All right, and NX4, DSD, properties, advanced, and our NX4 topping. This is a topping device. Goes all the way up to 32-bit, 38 4K. So it's, and you might ask, well, why don't I use NX the NX4 then if it's got really good sample playback? The short reason is that the NX4 is not really designed as a uh, I'm not really sure there's a good way to put this. It's not designed as a desktop amplifier. It's really designed as a mobile amplifier, and it does not do charging. And I'm trying to See if the NX2 will work. The NX2 is the one that kind of spent some time in a freezer, so half the time I'm not really sure it's even going to be recognized. Alright, let's try this. Okay, so it is in fact the cable. We are setting up the what the what? And it's like I know that the amplifier part works, but I have never actually tried the USB DAC part again, or at least not on Windows. So bear with me for a second while I see. Huh. Yeah, doing things live. Oh well. Guess I'm not sharing this stream with anyone else either. Alright, I'm now morbidly curious enough. Or what happens when I plug this in. And we'll go with you because you got the right kind of cable and headphone out. Okay. Taking that headset off for a second. Okay, I'm not actually sure, but the NX2 may have just died on stream. Oh well. Um, thought I'd lost it once, so we'll throw it on a charger and turn everything down and check back later and see if maybe it's just low battery and that's what the problem is. Alright. Where are the charging cable go? Alright, charge and I got a light on the charge. Okay. Alright, so okay. And it's a fair question then. Well, what does the speakers that I normally use? And like I said, I normally use the Razer Krakens, which have THX spatial processing, or I use the Drop O2 SDAC. Now, here we got the SDAC and sound. And here we go. Advanced. And here we can see that the SDAC, which is recognized as generic USB audio, does 24-bit 96K. It does not even have a 16-bit mode, or at least not a 16-bit mode exposed. And for comparison, the Razer Kitties top out at 16-bit 48K. And let's see if we can find. There's the standard Krakens. And you can see the standard Krakens outside of the THX driver still they have a slightly lower range that they can go down to. But again, we're only 16-bit 48K. So quite frankly speaking, they're not even really capable of uh, getting up to they're they're only meet what was cutting edge in 1998 and earlier. And that's really, yeah, it's where I kind of just, I get it. If most people, all they listen to is music that was mixed to CD specifications, going over those specifications, maybe not maybe that's overkill. The problem is that when it comes to games, most game developers use OGG Vorbis for their encoding or FLAC because those are royalty-free codecs that they can cram even more audio information into. So if game developers are oftentimes using higher sample rates or they're using lossless sample rates from their original mixes, why are modern gaming headphones still using uh, sample rates from the mid 90s? I mean, serious question here for SteelSeries and Razer. Why do your why do your bottom headsets still use tech that was in 1995 would have been considered bleeding edge? I'm serious question. And that was the big problem that I really had when I started looking at comparing the uh, Arctis ones. How good were they to use? Were they any better? And I looked at, and some of the other Arctis headsets are listed as being, how did they phrase it? High res capable speaker drivers. Well, what does that mean? I mean, really, what does that mean? What are the actual sample rates? Because again, we're looking at for basically $80, you can get a USB DAC that incorporates a stereo channel, 24-bit 192K sample rate. So, what's the sample rate on the high res, quote unquote, high res audio capable drivers? I mean, we're on the Arctis Pro right now, and there's a cute uh, infographic here comparing the Arctis Pro to the Astro A40, but frequency response is only half of the question. Not even half of the question, not even a third of the question is what's your actual sample rate? How good is your base audio decoding to begin with? And you can have the best frequency response on the planet, but if you're still sampling at 20 bit, what was it? What did high res? High res requires 48K 20 bit or higher. Now, knowing a little something about bit rates, I'm kind of going, how in the world did they arrive at a 20-bit encoding? What calculator were they using for that? I mean, 24, yeah, it's most of the time, speaking in terms of binary processing, you jump in quantities of 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32. In some cases, you'll have half counts where you'll go 12-bit, where you'll have 16-bit, where you'll have 24-bit. And in some cases, you'll have 24-bit plus channels. So I'm really kind of curious, how did and this was from 2015, by the way. How did in 2015 was high-res audio decided upon 48K and 20-bit? And how did that become the minimum? All right, that's what I really wanted to go over was what sample rates mean, why it. Okay, I don't think I've really covered why it matters. And again, part of this comes back to information that's not readily available. We really don't know how many people, how many developers are using Og Vorbis. We don't know how many are using Theora. We don't know how many are using FLAC. We don't know how many of the Ziff.org codecs are in use in modern gaming. We know that they are in use. We know that engines routinely implement support for these codecs because they are royalty free and patent free, which means developers can use them without fear of getting sued or having to pay extra royalties to someone who, like Fraunhofer, who owns the MP3 calculations. And there is significant argument that Fraunhofer had nothing to do with the actual development of the MP3 format. Now, I have my own opinions on that. I don't think the dates and data track there. I don't think Fraunhofer, or however their name is pronounced, should have been granted royalties in the way that they were able to charge them, but people paid, so whatevs. That was one that probably could have been fought in court and won. All right. And okay, so again, coming back to why do sample rates matter, other than it's just tacky to offer modern headsets that are using specifications that are literally 2 decades old, if not older. How long ago? I mean, let's just look this up. How long ago? Well, actually, it's in the name is AC 97, audio codec 97, or modem codec 97. Developed by Intel in 1997. So again, we're still back in the 19. Okay, here's where we got 20-bit from. Because AC97 defined a 20-bit audio architecture with 5.1 in 1997. And everyone agreed that that sucked. So, okay, at least I also have an answer for where the 20-bit 48K came from. It's also from 1997. Gee, go figure. All right. I'm sorry. I kind of have a cat who's being a little bit of a pain because it's raining outside. And he's trying to insist that my hand does not belong on the mouse but belongs on him. So I'm going to cut it here.